Alara always carried herself like a woman who knew the ending of every story. She was sharp, quick with words, and fearless in a way that often made others mistake her confidence for coldness. But inside, she was less certain. Her heart had a habit of running ahead while her mind pulled back, whispering doubts about being tied down, about losing herself in someone else's orbit. Callum had once been her anchor. For 5 years, they shared dinners of laughter, quiet Sundays in worn-in pajamas, and long talks that stretched into dawn. He knew her rhythms, the way she hummed when she was nervous, the way she tapped her thumb against her coffee mug when she was lost in thought. With him, she felt seen. But with each passing year, comfort began to feel like a cage. She feared she was losing the fierce independence she had worked so hard to build. The breakup came one evening, sudden and final. Alara's words were steady, almost rehearsed. "I can't do this anymore. I need space. I need to find myself again." Callum didn't argue. He just looked at her, as if trying to memorize her face one last time, and then let her walk out the door. At first, Alara felt free. She filled her days with new rituals, yoga at dawn, a vision board taped to her wall, loud affirmations about self-love and independence. Her friends cheered her on, reposting her quotes about choosing yourself first. On the surface, she looked radiant. But the nights told a different story. When the lights were low and the apartment was quiet, her mind replayed moments she thought she had buried, Callum's hand reaching for hers in the dark, the sound of his laugh echoing in the kitchen, the warmth of his shoulder during long train rides. One afternoon, weeks later, she wandered into a bookstore to escape the rain. And there he was, Callum, standing in the history section, a paperback tucked under his arm. They locked eyes. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, he smiled, gentle, not bitter. They talked casually about the weather, about books, about nothing at all. Yet, under the small talk was an ache neither could hide. That night, Alara sat before her mirror, staring at her reflection. The woman who claimed to know every ending now looked uncertain. She realized that independence was never meant to be about isolation. It wasn't about building walls so high that no one could climb them. It was about having the strength to love without fear of losing yourself. She wrote him a letter, not an apology, but a confession, that she had been afraid, that walking away felt easier than admitting how much he mattered. She left it unsigned, tucked inside a book they once shared, and mailed it without expecting a reply. Months passed. Alara rebuilt her life with gentler hands this time, her apartment filled with plants and secondhand books, sunlight spilling across her desk each morning. She smiled more easily, laughed more freely. She no longer needed to post quotes to remind herself she was strong. She simply was. Then one morning, by the river, she saw him again. Callum. He looked different, steadier, carrying his own kind of peace. They met in a cafe nearby, sitting across from each other like old friends. There was no grand declaration, no rush to reclaim what they had lost. Just laughter over coffee, a warmth in the silence, and the quiet knowledge that maybe, just maybe, this was a new beginning. Alara had thought endings were final, but she learned that some endings are really echoes, carrying you back to what matters most. Her strength wasn't in walking away, it was in daring to stay open, even after the fear, even after the loss. And as she left the cafe, her heart lighter than it had been in years, she finally understood. Independence and love were never enemies. They were two sides of the same truth, and she was strong enough to hold them both.